So with the initial PlayStation 5 event now in the books, we're all kind of looking forward to Microsoft because they themselves have said we will have something in July. And it seems to be kind of, I guess, an answer to what Sony has done here because, as they say, it's going to be about the game specifically from their first party, which, of course, they've been building up their first party studios quite a bit over the years, right? I mean, going into the generation for the Xbox One, they didn't really have a lot of first-party companies, and they had been working to build up their first-party studios as they've gone along, and now they have quite a few of them. So we expect a lot from the July event, and there is currently a rumor going around right now that is talking about this event as being a massive thing, okay? And it also talks about some of the hardware. I say some of it because, of course, there is one piece of hardware that has not been announced, but it has been rumored like crazy to the point where we, of course, have even seen trademarks that point to it. People have been mentioning what it's going to be and all this, and that, of course, is the Xbox Lockhart. And that will be apparently their cut down version of the Series X that will try to get under a certain price. Well, the rumor that's going around right now talks about the pricing. I'm not 100% sure if I agree with that pricing because it seems a little out there, but we'll go over it. And some of what Microsoft is working to do. So that's what we're going to go over here today, this rumor. If you guys enjoy the video, though, make sure you like it on the way out and get subscribed as we head towards 500,000 subscribers, and I'm sure plenty more rumors and speculation since it is only June, and we still have like another 5 months before these systems come out at this point. So let's head over here to WCCF Tech, and they have a nice write-up here that'll make it pretty easy to go through because this was based on a user on a forum who, according to, from what I can tell, every outlet that's covered this is a person who has proven in the past to be reliable and have access to Microsoft insider information. So again, we're going to take this with a grain of salt, of course, because it is just that a rumor. But this is from Eastman over on Beyond 3D forums, and we have several little excerpts here to go over. The first one here says, last I heard it be half the price of the Xbox Series X, and last I heard Microsoft were prepared for a $400 Xbox Series X. I'm not sure what the final price will be. I think if Sony is $500, $600, Microsoft may try to go in at $200, $400, $500. But we will see. And the biggest part here is that there probably will be multiple SKUs in the first place for like the Series X down the road, right? Where you'll probably have like a 1 terabyte, a 2 terabyte. We do have that memory card slot, expandable storage essentially in the back of it. But the biggest thing here, which is Microsoft's biggest advantage, is them developing this Lockhart, or what we all assume is going to eventually be called the Xbox Series S. See, when the Series S comes around, there won't be any real reason for the Xbox One S. I had talked about previously how the Xbox One X was being quietly phased out and essentially discontinued because, well, to be honest, the Series X is probably going to be $500, which would replace the Xbox One X with what that launched at, with its suggested retail price at $500. So to hear that Microsoft would do something like put the Series X at $400 and a Lockhart at $200, that is very hard for me to believe currently for a few reasons. The biggest one is that if they have a Lockhart coming on launch day, there's really no reason for the Series X to like badly undercut the PlayStation 5. These are all still businesses that, of course, want to make money or lose the least amount of money possible on hardware. So if the PlayStation 5 shows up and it's $500, I don't know why Microsoft wouldn't just make the Series X, which is more powerful, just make that the same price, and then you just go with the power narrative once again, and then you introduce Lockhart for what I have been hearing, all right now, the price that I keep hearing is $300 for it. It doesn't have to be exactly half. A $300 system and then a $500 system, and the $300 system is going to be geared more towards people who aren't really like, oh, it needs to be true 4K and needs to be 120 frames per second. If you're someone right now who looks at their 1080p TV or monitor that you play games on and you're like, oh, this is good, and if it's like 1080 60, I'm fine with that, you're probably going to get Lockhart then at $300 because you don't necessarily care about 4K and all of this HDR and everything. Now, Eastman does go on to say that Microsoft will make up any losses they take by getting a higher cut of game sales and more subscriptions. Pricing also depends on what Sony does. Microsoft doesn't have to go as extreme in pricing if Sony prices itself higher. So the biggest part here, Microsoft, Sony, and even Nintendo, yes, they all do, they want everyone really to go digital. They make more money. I mean, really, if you think about the fact that they have to package, ship, and then give a cut to retailers, whereas if it's all digital, they just get the money. Like, it is much better for them. And then, of course, there is a lot of logistical stuff that goes into just getting the game on the shelf for you to buy, whether it's at Target, Best Buy, Walmart. There's a lot of things that can be eliminated from just going all digital. And that means to me that Lockhart makes a ton of sense for Microsoft since they are leaning heavily on services with Game Pass. So naturally, they will want to push you that way. I get what Beastman is saying here. I just really think Lockhart at $299.9 just fits into that impulse buy territory, and they still won't have to put it at 200. I mean, 200 is less than what the Xbox One SAD launched at. Remember that all digital where I thought it would have been $199.9 at the most, and it was like, what, $250 or something? Yeah, that's, I don't think all of a sudden, like a year and a half later, or 2 years later, whatever, the Series S is going to launch and be less than that all digital. The next part we have here from Eastman says, but from what I've heard from all my sources, July isn't about Sony. July is about the industry. They want it to be a night of mic drops. They're going to come hard with the strategy they have been building up for years, and they want Google, Amazon, Apple, Sony, and yes, Nintendo to be shaken up. So expect a series of mic drop moments followed by the price being the key part of all of this. I still think, look, 500 and then 300, that is solid pricing because Sony is not going to take, I think anyway, the PS5 and make it $400. That all digital one could be $400, but then you have the Series S at $300. So like, I think pricing 500 and 300 is like good. They could even throw Game Pass in there and it would just add extra value to it. No, the biggest mic drop moment should not be price. It should be games. Like, this is a moment where Microsoft has to show up. Okay, they've all the talk has been, oh, Microsoft doesn't have games like Sony does, right? So this should absolutely be all about Sony for the most part, because Microsoft should be responding to what is their main competition. Look, I know Microsoft has talked about how Amazon and even to a degree Netflix, because they're all vying for your attention, and they have subscription models, right? So like, they're looking more at Google Stadia at times as being their main competition, but like Stadia ties its own shoes together before it leaves the house. And like, if I was Microsoft, I would just move along with xCloud, and to be honest, Stadia will kind of take care of itself almost, is what it feels like right now. The game's got to be there, and you got to say, oh, Game Pass day one, Halo Infinite launches day one. And I like the idea of Microsoft having a bunch of mic drop moments, because we need that. We need Sony to feel some heat here from Microsoft so they continue building big time games with their big studios and not really get comfortable. I don't really want a comfortable Sony. We've seen that. A comfortable Sony introduces a PlayStation 3 at $600. Now, the final part here says, that's why I think Lockhart is a key device in their strategy. It's low-cost gateway that they can control. To make sure the hardware can handle their new compression techniques, they will employ with xCloud over the next few years. The plan for Lockhart is to get into price categories they were never able to hit before, and I believe, based on listening between the lines, that they expect Lockhart to at some point make it down to Fire TV size. Also, the size of the first Lockhart will surprise everyone. All right, so the sizing thing is interesting, because I think it'd be hilarious if Lockhart came out and it was legitimately a little GameCube. Like, all right, they probably won't put the handle on it, but that would be really funny, right? If it was like just a little cube, look like a GameCube, that'd be great. I would love that. But the idea of Lockhart being small is kind of interesting. Like, I mean, look, we could have several instances where Microsoft releases something that is like a Fire TV stick. Oh, when it does xCloud only. It's just a streaming device, right? That's not surprising. I mean, Stadia will use a Chromecast Ultra 4K, and that does 4K streaming for Stadia. So I'm sure at some point Microsoft will introduce some sort of little dongle that you plug into your HDMI port on the back of your TV, and then you get an Xbox controller and sync it up, and boom, xCloud will stream to your TV, right? It would probably even be even better if they start to incorporate some sort of deal with different TV manufacturers to have xCloud there as an app, and then maybe an Xbox controller just comes with it. That would be the best way to go about it. I'm trying to think of how else Lockhart. Could Lockhart really get that small if it's running on AMD's RDNA 2 SSD? It probably needs some sort of active cooling, right? I don't know about that. Maybe they're trying to get at the idea of a streaming stick down the road, but with how much R&D and stuff goes on at all times at places like Microsoft, maybe they heard about something like that and they're just trying to take a guess at it. I mean, seriously, pricing is probably not even fully locked down right now. They're seriously, I'm sure, trying to kick around the idea of, can we make it cheaper? We have it at 300 right now. Could we go down to 250? Could we go down to 200? Those are questions being asked right now as they weigh the idea of, let's get more people into Game Pass. How much of a loss can we take right now immediately and make it up over the course of 5 or 6 years? So I'm still sticking with 500 and 300, but to be honest, I won't necessarily rule out the idea of a $200 system. It's just that might be a bit of a pipe dream for that cheap of a next-gen system. But these rumors are interesting to look at, of course, and I don't think we're going to have to wait too much longer. There's a good chance that I'm going to say within 3 weeks, we'll have that Xbox event announced. I would like to see them announce it a week early like Sony did with their event, just to get us all kind of ready. And I'm hoping it's longer than the PlayStation event, like an hour and a half to 2 hours, because they really need to show up here. I mean, this is it. I mean, think about it this way. This is Phil Spencer's generation to launch, and Don Mattrick did such a poor job last gen that Phil Spencer really needs to show up and show even Microsoft why they should continue to do Xbox, because it wasn't that long ago that Microsoft even looked at it and said, do we need Xbox that badly? If Xboxes can continue to sell services, which would include Xbox Live and Game Pass, then it'll stick around. So I'm hoping that they show up, they push Sony, and we get some awesome games. Give us Fable, give us Perfect Dark, give us Halo, give us Banjo, give us new IPs, and it could be a really fun night. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. Pricing seems to be the big thing, right? Like, if you can get a next-gen system from Microsoft for the price of a Switch right now, would that compel you to really look at Microsoft's side, or would you still stick with Sony's like $500 PlayStation 5 system? I guess it'd be like a $400 all digital on their side then. So $100 price difference there. Let me know what you guys think about this though down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.